Welcome to the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. We've done ovals, now it's time for the tightest and toughest street circuit on the calendar. Yep, Long Beach seems like a walk in the park when you come to this track as well. It is short, it is fast, it is difficult. We've had so many cautions here in just 2 races. Wet weather, dry weather. Alex Palou, second and first in qualifying's here. This place is practically born for him. We're all set for what's going to be a fantastic weekend. So, Alex Palou dominated the month of May. He took victory in both the Sononso Grand Prix of Indianapolis and the Indianapolis 500. There is nothing he can't do. He leads the championship by quite a considerable margin. Let's get ready and send it down then to our commentary team at INDYCAR Radio for the opening practice session of the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Let's pass over now.
This is the NTT IndyCar Series. With live coverage of today's practice, this is INDYCAR Radio.
No rest for the weary. You go all the way back to the weekend of May the 4th at Barber Motorsports Park. And been at a pretty hectic pace since, including the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. A break is right around the corner, but plenty to do before we get to that point, and that involves racing on the streets of downtown Detroit. Welcome, everyone, to the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear. Mark Janes, happy to welcome back off the pit stand to the 109th Indianapolis 500, calling strategy for Jack Harvey, our driver analyst Davey Hamilton. Again, thanks to Zach Veach and Anders Krohn for see, you're so good we had to get 2 guys to do your job.
Well, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity as well. It was something that I feel I learned a lot, and I feel I can bring that to our listeners throughout the season. And it's different. I mean, it's different now with the cars and with the hybrid systems, and there's so many things that go on with these Indy cars today, and a way to get the balance and strategy to all play into it. And so hopefully that has a little more input for we're doing here.
Well, you've been a really good race strategist for us, but I would imagine there's far more pressure. I mean, if you miss it by a lap or 2 with us, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal, right? If I miss it completely, it's not that big of a deal, but it is. And I'll tell you one thing, from practice to the race time, it's amazing, because in practice, you're kind of like waiting for the car, you're making your notes, you're waiting for the car go by. When the race starts, I think it speeds up rapidly, because as you know, I chose the strategy to pit early, and it cycled us to the lead, which was great to get Jack to lead some races. It worked out pretty good. We were up front majority of the race, and unfortunately we got speeding in the pits, which that's easy to do in this game. These cars are very hard, and us being in the first actually the second pit in, and it was a tricky one to get slowed down at that timeline and get in the box. But hey, we know we showed those dry arrival cars were good. Ryan Hunter-Reay had an opportunity to win, and we ran a little short on fuel, and Jack was up leading some laps. So overall, it was a good month. Just Palou, man, how do you stop this guy?
Yeah, there's no question that Dennis Reinbold and that whole race team, all of you guys have a lot to be proud of, and certainly picked up very, very valuable data that will serve you well for the 110th Indianapolis 500. And again, we'll talk one more question about this. Folks need to understand that 24/7, Dennis Reinbold is doing all he can to get back to the series.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. They're working very hard. I mean, and especially now there's momentum, right? The cars ran really good. And by the way, you got to remember that we had a fire with the Ryan Hunter race car, and that team of his put together our pit stop car, basically. And when you call it a pit stop car, it is a pit stop car, but obviously it was a good race car because they put it together overnight, went out and gave him opportunity to win that race. So Dennis is prepared for it. He loves it. He wants to be full-time. He wants to do it properly, though. And right now, the iron's hot, and we're dealing with sponsors and partners to come on board to see if we can make that happen. And if not 20, we're hoping 27. It could be 28 because the new car. It's hard to go 27 when a new car comes out 28 now. So we'll just see what happens.
Green flag flies on a 45-minute session. Yes, a 45-minute session. That means a couple of 10-minute sessions will follow this, in which they will divide the field in half. And that's probably easier to do here than it is everywhere else, Davey, because of the split pit lane.
Yeah, this I think we all talked about before we came here for the first time and seen this split pit lane. I had a lot of questions about, like, how's this going to work, because it funnels, I should say, into a one lane very tight. And I thought, I don't know if this is going to work, but you know what? I like it. I think it worked out really well. I think it's exciting. The pits are all contained in one area, and I think the drivers respected each other, surprisingly, and it all worked out really well. So it's interesting how it's working. There's always could be things that go bad, but it's key, this short racetrack, to get a lot of lap time.
You're going to see this in Texas in
Yeah,
2026.
that's right. This is the first of 2 that's going to happen. So yeah, you're exactly right. The new street course around the Texas Stadium. It's going to be interesting. I mean, it's a baseball and football stadium, if I'm not mistaken. So not just the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, but we'll be going around a couple of them. But that's I think it works good, and I think that even in the stadium there, they have more room to make the exit a little bit wider, and it's going to be even better yet.
1.645 in length, a little over 1.6 miles. This multiple turn venue here on the streets of Detroit. Third year we've been here after spending several years at Belle Isle. There were a lot of things to like about that course at Belle Isle, unless you were a driver. But actually, some drivers did like it. Scott Dixon, Graham Rahal were drivers that had a tremendous amount of success there. It was rough, it was bumpy. There were a lot of other factors that necessitated the move, but in a relatively short amount of time with what they've done, Bud Dinker and his crew here, they've created an amazing event in downtown Detroit. Yeah,
they sure have. And you have to remember Belle Isle, what they've been able to do with that. From our first time there to the way it is currently is absolutely amazing. I mean, from the paved pits to the improvements in that park. So racing improved that park like a lot, and so we got to appreciate that. They put a lot of money back into it. That race course was a lot of fun, really a lot of fun, and I think it was so racy that coming here is more of a challenge. It's very bumpy. It's a street course. It's, as you just said, 1.645 miles long, very, very short course, and with one of the longest straightaways, if not the longest, that we run on any kind of a road course. So it's a challenge in itself. We see turn 3 off that long straightaway mark create all kinds of havoc, whether it's in practice or the race. So it definitely generates a lot of excitement, and I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of fights amongst these drivers. I mean, they're after each other for sure.
Let's go back to the start-finish line, if you would, and kind of, you've been in here several times around the two-seater, so take us for a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Place. You know, so it's like I say, it was such a short track, but the start-finish line right in front of the pit area, actually right in front of our booth, right before our booth. You go down into turn 1, and one thing about turn 1, it is very narrow, and you can't hardly tell turn 1 is where it's at because it just looks like a solid wall until you get to it. You go uphill once you get off that very tight first gear turn 1. And then the most important corner on the racetrack, I think, is turn 2. Fast second gear corner, and it's very bumpy once you get on that long straightaway. You want to keep that momentum down that super long straightaway, and it's bumpy the entire way down. Heavy braking down into turn 3. Not a hairpin like Long Beach, but a hairpin down there, Mark, in that turn 3. That's where we see all the touching, the bumping, and spins down there. And then a short little straightaway into turn 4, about four or five car lengths wide, going into turn 4, but it funnels down into 2 cars, and we've just seen a lot of accidents in Indy next in that corner. Same thing kind of going down in 5. We remember Colton Herta overshot that last year, and winning that runoff area cost him a race. Then you go to a switchback turn 6 and 7, and it's literally that fast, but a switchback with walls on both sides, so it's blind going through there. And as you come off turn 7, it's kind of low. You go over a little bit of a rise of natural street elevation, dropping down into a very important and a turn 8 that's kind of like turn 1, easy to overshoot that, and take that left-hander, and you can either go into pit area there, that's pit entry, and in between 8 and 9, or the 9's at 90 degree coming back to that start-finish line. Only 9 corners in this course.
Yeah, and it's a fast one too, relatively fast, even with all the technical portions of it.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, that long straightaway, you are absolutely moving down there, and as you're going down and bouncing around, you're kind of like, okay, 1 stoplight, 2 stoplight, 3 stoplight, then you finally see the brake markers, and 180 miles an hour, I'm expecting to see them go down in turn 3.
Realistically, Davey, here's where we are with this season. Alex Palou has amassed 306 points. I know there's a lot of racing left. Reality of it is, Pato O'Ward is 194 points. Lundgaard 181, Rosenquist 165, Kirkwood 156. Again, 306 points. So I think what your mindset has to be now, a race team, which I know it's on winning anyway.
Yeah.
But the discussion doesn't involve the championship anymore. It's just winning races.
It's winning races, and then that's exactly right. I mean, and even in Palou's situation, it's still winning races because he could actually make some mistakes and still be in good shape. And so you might as well continue doing what you're doing, and that is going for it, trying to win some more races. And when you win like he's win, matter of fact, as you said, Palou is second in the points. I'm sorry, Pato O'Ward is second in the points championship. he could dominate the next 2 races and win every point available to him. Palou could not even be here and still come out with the point championship Palou with him. That's how far ahead he is.
And here's that problem with that theory, as we talked about. You've reached the point to where even if you get red hot, you're relying on the guy in front of you to have a lot of trouble. So at 87 starts, 16 wins, 49 top 5s, and 64 top 10s, and he's led over 1,100 laps at 87 starts.
You know, if you have 5 wins in a season and a second for the entire season, you are taking your crew out on cruises and golfing and whatever you want to do, right? And then celebrating a great season no matter where you end up in the championship. He said that in the first 7 races. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Well, let's get the specifics on this day. Looks like it's going to be a great weekend weather-wise. Thank you, Mother Nature. And we're happy to bring in Joel Sebastianelli, longtime member, as we have the 77 car has found the tire barrier, Davey.
Yeah, we already got one in the tire barrier. That's Stingray Rob has that.
Interrupting because the 77 has just gone straight on into the wall and brought out the red flag down at the opening corner. I was watching on the international feed and the radio won't get it yet. He's managed to reverse up to get going, but just a little stop out there for Stingray Rob. He's refired the engine and we're back underway.
He just overshot that corner a little bit, got the tire barrier. Like I say, he's 5-minute hold, but don't see any damage to that car.
32 minutes remaining in this session. Started to welcoming in. He's been a longtime member of this radio network now, and we remember when he first started, got the scholarship for the road to Indy, and then followed his career in Panama City Beach, Florida, then on to a sports outlet in Toledo, and we were thrilled to death in January when we learned that he found a home here in Detroit at WDIV Local 4. We welcome in Joel Sebastianelli.
Absolutely thrilled to be with you guys again and to be here in the 313. No one really wants to hear you complain after the long winter we have, but we have been waiting for a day like this here in Detroit for almost 2 weeks. It is 77 degrees, the track temperature 106 degrees, humidity only 37%, 2-mile-per-hour wind blowing northwest, and when it gets up to 4 or 5 miles per hour, it is quite welcome. You couldn't ask for a better day to practice here for the IndyCar series. And speaking of 77, I'm in that pit right now, so if I find anything else out about Stingray Rob, I will pass that along to you, Mark.
And also working pit road this afternoon, just wrapped up anchoring Indy next, our first practice session of the weekend, and he'll call the shots for that race all throughout the course of this weekend. We welcome in Nick Yeoman.
That's right, Mark. I am across pit lane from Joel Sebastianelli. Don't get to say that very often, but as you and Davey touched on, they've got the dueling double-sided pit lane, so it offers a unique perspective down here. First time I've seen the Indy cars in action in the 3rd year here on the streets of St. Pete, up close and personal during practice down here on this dual pit lane, and it is quite the sight. I am watching Scott McLaughlin. We're waiting to see him go out on the racetrack, and of course, Mark, it was a interesting month of May, to say the least, for Team Penske. None of those drivers came away with decent results, and a lot of folks wondered where that team was going to go in the week from Indianapolis leading to Detroit with the shakeup in upper management. Turns out not a lot changes in terms of the personnel they had for the Indianapolis 500. In terms of the 3-car, Ben Bretzman is on top of the pit box. He's the race engineer and the race strategist. Malcolm Finch also steps into a role for Scott McLaughlin's team as well. As for Joseph Newgarden, Raul Prados is going to be the race engineer for the foreseeable future. His new race strategist is Luke Mason. And then on Will Power's car, Dave Faustino, who's been with that team for many, many years. He is the race engineer. And Jonathan Dugan, who's been on the IMSA side of things for many, many years, but again, a Penske veteran. He now steps in as the race strategist, and that's going to be the game plan, Mark, for those 3 Penske teams as they kind of navigate the waters with the shakeup in upper management after the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, a couple of suspensions for Andretti Global as well after the Indianapolis 500, and Davey, let's face it, with everything that had happened during the month of May, a heightened sense of awareness in technical inspection, and going to be a bit stickier about the rules.
Yeah, they really are, and I'll have to say, and every rule that is, whether it's Penske, Andretti, or Prema, the 3 that really got heavy fines and got penalized for these infractions. Personally, I don't think any of them are performance enhancing. I don't think you're going to go one bit faster with any of the changes they did personally. I think that's like the rear attenuator on Penske car. Yeah, it keeps it smoother. It looks great, but the air's already gone. The air's behind the car. It's on the attenuator. I don't see. Matter of fact, the fastest lap of the month was done by McLaughlin. without
Didn't have it.
You know, a few laps before, didn't have that. So that tells you that. I know on the other two cars, the infractions, I just can't see where there's a performance advantage at all. But that tells you that right now in tech inspection, it's crucial to have.
Well, they can write you a ticket for doing 35 and 30 if they want to.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
And it's kind of that's the comparison I make.
You know, I don't know that it's all done. With you know, for example, if it's a performance piece on there, I could see a fine. But if it's not a performance piece, I mean, if it's performance, I could see fine, suspension, losing spaces. But when it's not a performance piece, maybe it's just a fine.
My thing is with the attenuator, though, not to be argumentative, it is a safety feature.
Yeah, that's right.
A safety and a huge safety feature.
Yeah, that's right.
For rear-end collisions. So that's where that mindset comes
That's
from.
right. That's correct. Not performance, but you're right. You're messing with a safety feature. I don't know without, you know, I've never crash tested with it bonded in or with it not. I can't see where there's a huge difference, but don't mess with it.
Right.
I mean, in the day, just don't mess with it. Yeah.
Let's go back to Joel Sebastianelli.
Just an update on Stingray Rob. They swapped off the nose of that car. Very little damage to it, almost imperceptible to the naked eye when they're taking it off. You don't really see until they re-rack it that there's just a slight crack on the wing. So they've swapped that off. I talked to Ricardo Juncos real quick. He said there's no other damage. So they'll get ready to take the 77 back out on track in just a moment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Davey, I had a chance to stand outside the booth and watch the last 10 or 15 minutes of that Indy next test. What do you got there?
Actually, Will Power overshooting looks like that looks like maybe turn 3 that he overshot that long straightaway.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, turn 3. Got turned around. He was prepared for it. Got it going again.
So I stood right outside of our booth and I watched the entry point into turn number 1.
Yeah.
And you can't go side by side through there.
No, it funnels down to one car there. As it's
right.
too wide in the straightaway, one car in that corner. So that's one thing about this track. I mean, and when you have a street course, Mark, there's gives and takes, right? I mean, we got to remember we're on the streets. You can only do so much. But this particular one it's like going through an alley in majority of this racetrack, and very, very difficult not only to pass but just to get around by yourself because it's so narrow.
5 sets primary, 5 sets alternates. Have to use 1 set each in the race. And to that end, we have 26 minutes remaining in the session and only 19 of the 27 cars return laps.
Yeah, and you know, and I like that tire option right now. I mean, you know, the last race you had to run both reds and primaries, 2 of each, and it forced you into a 3-stopper race. And I think you leave it open. Run 1 of each, leave it open. I think the strategy is better. I think it's better for us as fans and to you know, make the race a little bit better.
Should maybe they offer them, like with Indy next, I believe they get a couple of sets of used from Indy that they can use in their practice session.
Yeah, and well, one thing different from the Indy tire for us, because they're on a road course and we're not, but the Indy road course, yeah, that could be a situation. I don't know the difference. Firestone, you know, they do, Mark, as we know, they're our partners and friends, but they do such a great job on bringing a proper tire for the proper racetrack. And you know, whether it's a high-speed road course like Barber, like Laguna Seca, or a slow road course like we have here, and or street course like we have here, or super speedway. So they're up for the challenge. They always bring the proper tire, and they're not the same at every event. So not knowing what tire that they have here for IndyCar, it's hard to know if you can have some run over.
That entrance at the end of that long straightaway into turn number 3, that's when you got to hit just right because it's plenty bumpy upon entrance.
Yeah, and we see in turn 3, as you just mentioned, and turn 8. If you look at the racetrack, you'll see under the braking zones, you'll see dark, light, dark, light. Well, that's the bumps in the racetrack, and that's when the tires are actually coming off the racetrack. So you're going under braking and bumps at the same time. And as I always say, brakes aren't that good when the tire's in the air, so they got to be careful on what speed they have, where the braking point is, not to overshoot those.
Big engineering news a couple of days before we arrived in Detroit. Some changes coming to Dale Coyne Racing going into effect this weekend, and earlier today, our Nick Yeoman caught up with the driver of that car to talk about those changes, talking about Rinus VeeKay.
Well, big news out of the Dale Coyne Racing camp this week. New engineer for Rinus VeeKay in the form of Michael Cannon. How excited are you about having Michael join the team?
Yeah, very excited. He kind of means success. If you look at his track record, what he's done, where he's gone, and how he entered a place and how he left a place, it's quite a difference. So I'm really excited. Of course, he's got experience with Dale Coyne Racing and with the operations, and of course, you know, still really grateful for the engineers I had, for Ed Nathman, John Dick, who really helped us be successful to start out the season. But yeah, I think we really go with some very recent IndyCar experience right now, which is a game.
How long do you think it takes to really gel with an engineer? Because I know you guys have to be on the same page. You can't really expect that, I would assume, to happen race one.
Could happen in one practice. I just have to tell him exactly what he needs to know. We've kind of talked already about what they expect to hear from me, how they can make the right adjustments. So I'm gonna focus on making sure he has everything he needs to put the car in an even better window.
So you're looking at it as you want this thing to go, you know, right as first practice session. You guys want to hit the ground running.
We should. Yeah, that's what we did with our other engineers. For me, like, coming to the O'Coin, that's how we did it. It shouldn't change anything. It's just, yeah, we got to make sure, of course, the communication on track between Michael Cannon and I is good, but you know, he's got experience. He knows what he's doing, so I'm not worried about that.
25 of the 27 cars have now gone out and turned laps. Rosenquist and Newgarden should be doing so very, very soon. Kiffin Simpson P1 early at a 64.0124, and we've got Ritas VK at a P2 at a 64.1217. Rossi, Foster, Eilert, the top five, then Siegel, Lundgaard, Award, Power, and DeFrancesco. Rasmussen 11th fastest, Schwartzman 12th fastest. Polo 13th, 14th Rahal, 15th Ferrucci, Malukas 16th, 17th Kirkwood, 18th McLaughlin, 19th Daly. 20th Jacob Abel, then Colton Hurd at 21st, then Marcus Ericsson, Stingray Robb, Scott Dixon, and Marcus Armstrong. Joseph Newgarden just cleared that timing and scoring loop on his outlap, waiting for Felix Rosenquist to do the same. Big news for Dale Coyne, getting Michael Cannon back in the fold.
Yeah, it really is, and I think, you know, they also got, the experience that he has, right? I mean, we know that he's been with some teams. He has experience, especially on the speedways. I think he's really good. But he's also got Mike Culliver in there as well, and he's going to take care of Abel's car. Mike Culliver was the engineer I worked with at Indy, ironically, with Jack Miller, and he's been around a long, long time. He has a lot of knowledge as well. So I think that between Culliver and Cannon, they can make changes. I mean, I think that things are going to be successful. Actually, Mike called me. He goes, "I've never been to Detroit. What do you think? Is it a heavy downforce, light downforce?" I gave my opinions of it, and he's excited about getting going with that team.
AJ Foyt has got to be riding high. Some momentum.
Yeah, wow.
You know, what a finish by their drivers in the Indy 500.
You know, when you get a second and a fifth in the Indy 500, two cars out of the two that they have in that top 10, you got to remember they do have Penske technology in those cars. They have that information coming for our setups, and obviously it's worked. But they put the power to the ground. They had great pit stops. They both made great moves during that race, and coming out second, fifth, man, that's pretty bad.
Should more people be talking about Larry Foyt and the job he's done rebuilding that race team?
You know, I have no question about it. I mean, he's the one that put that program together. He got two great drivers. I think. Matter of fact, did you see Santino's record for the Indy 500?
Pretty impressive.
He's been there 7 times, never finished out of the top 10. I mean, he really has something there. But this Malukas kid, obviously, a lot of eyes on him already. So Larry, I think, has done an outstanding job of getting the right people. It starts with the crew guys, make sure it's put together properly. Boy, Will Power,
he is showing not much patience with Marcus Ericsson and that new Siemens sponsorship, and basically said, I'm going to need you to move over.
You know what? And let me tell you, I agree with these guys slowing down before
Kirkwood,
the time.
I'm sorry, that was Kyle Kirkwood.
These guys slowing down before the timelines and trying to get runs and trying to, go out there and run. I mean, it causes more problem and all. And that Will Power, I promise you, he had a good lap going. Look at them. You see it right now. They're just barely moving on the racetrack. It should be against the rules, and I don't know why they don't do something about it personally. I just think it's dangerous. Remember, I'll go back a couple years ago. Remember Sato at St. Petersburg?
Yep.
Come around the corner, all of a sudden the cars are stopped, and he went flying in there. I mean, it's just not good. And Power was obviously on the runner. All of a sudden you come around, the final corners, the guys barely moving on the racetrack, trying to find themselves clear racetrack. Well, do that on the racetrack. You can do it out there as well, not just stop.
And here's the thing, because of the format, I mean, half the cars drivers are going to be out there for 10-minute sessions.
That's right. And they're still doing it. Look right here. Oh, that's them getting pushed right there.
Yep.
Probably going like, what the heck's going on here?
All of a sudden, the steering went away.
Yeah, and he puts his hand up like, what's going on? Well, what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. You stop in the middle of the racetrack.
Right.
Don't stop in the middle of the racetrack. You don't have to worry about it.
So where is Kyle Kirkwood? He was at P3 and Will Powers P4 now at timing and scoring with 19 minutes remaining in the session. The 27 car came to the pit lane for, looks like, some fuel and some service.
Yeah, he's back in pit lane. I know he's complaining. I know he's upset, but, you know, there's one way to fix that. Go. I mean, this is green flag. With the green flag out, last I checked, when you come up to a green light, that means go, and that's where we're at right now. And I've seen it too many times. I'm scared for these guys, to be honest with you, to have a big accident when guys on a fast lap come around. All of a sudden, you got a line of cars barely moving, trying to find space, and we just see it right now with. Same thing with Santino. He's tired. Well, that happened with the same guy last year. Look, it was actually Kirkwood last year, and Santino kicked him out of his pit. Same thing happened.
So we can tell you that the relationship between Michael Cannon and Rinus VeeKay appears to be off to a good start.
Yeah.
Whatever they talked about going into today, message received and noted because he has moved up to P3. Alex Palou is fastest right now, and then Power, VeeKay, Malukas, Ericsson. Then Rossi, Kirkwood, Herta, Kiffin, Simpson, and Graham Rahal, the top 10.
Yeah, how about, let's talk about that AJ Foyt. We've been talking, how about Malukas?
Yeah.
Finds himself that top 4 again. Those cars seem to be really fast right now. Ericsson doing a good job. Got to feel bad for him. One of the ones that got penalized, you know, at the 500. But that hopefully all that gets worked out. The last thing that anybody wants, so whether it's a fan, anybody, we don't want to see infractions and penalties after a race is over.
All 27 cars have now turned laps, and Jacob Abel currently the slowest, and Santino Ferrucci just in front of him in the 26th position. But again, it's very early on in the session, although a couple of drivers have been extra busy. Nolan Siegel and Alexander Rossi, Davey, have turned 10 laps.
Yeah, that's right. Simpson, I mean, what a good job behind him with 10 laps as well. Rossi, as you just said, with 10 laps, they're going to start clicking them off. This is a short racetrack, and, you know, the good thing for us, we're right on the racetrack going into turn 1. We've got a great view here, but watch some of on our monitors to see this entire racetrack. You can really see the bumps, and this is the one I point out for you, Mark, is see the bumps going into turn 8. I mean, it's really brutal right there, so got to be so careful getting through that area and not locking your brakes up, as we see. I think that was maybe I can't remember who that. I don't know who that was. It's a new paint job I'm not familiar with.
We've been looking at it. We've been looking at in-car camera angles too, Davey, from just above the driver's head, and we're watching that steering wheel. And I tell you, the grip's got to be extra tight around here because it will it could flip right out of your hands.
Yeah, that's right. You're very good, really good point, because it is beating you up on that steering wheel. These cars do not have power steering. I mean, it's a direct rack right to the ground, and right now they're at a minute 2:08. And I is thinking by tomorrow, with all the rubber gets on the racetrack, these guys get their cars dialed in, we could go sub 1 minute potentially. And I don't even know what the track record is here, but you know, I know that the track gets faster on all these street courses we go to as the rubber lays down and these drivers get more comfortable and find the limits of the track.
Starting grid penalties for Chip Ganassi's number 9 and Rahal Letterman's number 15 for unapproved engine changes, Davey.
Yeah, we knew that was Scott. I did hear that one, and you know, that's unfortunate that the team has to take that penalty and not the manufacturer sometimes, but that's the rule that's in place. And sometimes if you have engine issues, and it could be completely out of the team's hand, just something, you know, something may go wrong and you have to do engine change, it could penalize you in the next race.
So we're looking at track records, and looks like the qualifying lap record was set, of course, by Kyle Kirkwood. Of course, this particular venue not very old.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a 61.5305.
Okay. So
Kyle
not
Kirkwood.
sub 1 minute. So and we're only a second off of that right now, basically, or a little over a second. So they'll get down to that area of track record numbers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and a pretty good history of drivers that have won this race that have gone on to win the championship, and you know, obviously Alex Palou is a favorite to do that, but the driver who has gone on to win the championship has won this race 8 times.
Wow, that's an impressive number right there. And one thing, I'm going to back up a little bit on Will Powers' penalty. They said he crossed the line in pit lane. Well, you got to remember, as we talked about, it's dual pits, and there's a big blue line in the middle. If you're on the right-hand side, don't cross it. If you're left-hand side, don't cross it. That's a no-go zone. That's so everybody can merge in properly.
Nick Yeoman has more on David Malukas, and Nick, he just went to P1 in the session.
And that got a good amount of thumbs up from the AJ Foyt Racing crew as David Malukas has brought that car to pit lane, just handed an iPad to look at some telemetry data inside the cockpit as the team makes some minor adjustments. You guys touched on it. A lot of good momentum after a pair of top 5 finishes at Indianapolis, and this team is feeling it for sure and for multiple reasons. Obviously on the engineering side, you guys touched on it. The technical alliance with Team Penske is paying off. David's starting to gel with his race engineer, James Snable, who is actually a Team Penske employee, so he is kind of in the development program, and they paired him up with David Malukas and in his work. The other reason, Mark, that they have good reason to be exciting is on the sponsorship side. Of course, Clarion's Technologies jumped onto that 4-car for the Indianapolis 500. They are back for the Detroit weekend as well. So far, things looking pretty good for David Malukas at the top of the charts, and that multicolored, it's about a 2-tone shade of blue and white car for AJ Foyt Racing.
Looks like Colton Hurd, he went off, and that does look like the that long straightaway mark in the runoff here. He didn't hit anything, backing up right now, just trying to get turned around and get back out and going again.
Let's go to Joel Sebastianelli.
Well, let's talk about the other AJ Foyt racing machine, the 14 of Santino Ferrucci, who is always happy to come to Detroit. Belial was one of his favorite circuits. He likes coming here on the streets, had a top 10 a year ago, and celebrates his birthday tomorrow. A little bit of a difficult time getting acclimated so far. Spent about 10 minutes in the pits with the cowling off, and by the looks of it, they were throwing the kitchen sink at it. I asked Larry Foyt, all good? And it took a minute to respond, and he said, yeah, we just need to make some changes, and said it in that way that tells you he really isn't all that happy with where the car is at right now. But they do have some time to get it to where it needs to go, and this team has shown that they can compete, particularly with Santino on these street courses.
24th fastest right now with about 12 minutes remaining in this session. And again, folks, to those of you that are listening on PA here, don't think the session is over, because, Davey, we've hit on a couple of different practice formats to start the weekend. And I like this one because it's a 45-minute roll skate, and then they'll divide the field in half in each field to get about 10 minutes for qualifying.
I really like it, and with all the cars slowing down, as we talked about, I just think it's so unsafe in these areas coming up to the timeline. Maybe it's something they do for the entire session, run half the group, half the session, half the group, split these cars in half to where they have this track short. And so maybe they do that more often, but I'm with you. I really like it.
I gotta say, hats off and congratulations, and wishing another successful event this weekend to Mark Royce and Jim Campbell and all the great folks at Chevrolet. Davey, I know this event is it's kind of like, for them, it's kind of like the difference between the championship and the Indy 500. The 500 obviously a big event for them, but obviously this is probably P2.
Yeah, when they're in their offices overlooking this racetrack, it's really cool. You see that Chevrolet building, just to the north of us here. I mean, it's really cool to see that. Yeah.
And as far as this event itself, Bud Dinker said, they had 32, I think, hospitality chalets on Belle Isle. There's over, 70 some? Some odd here, and they're all sold out. 90 some odd business partnerships, and they're pumping millions of dollars into downtown Detroit.
You know what I love about it too is these rooftop seating. They have rooftop seating with lounges up there, with TVs, with a lot of fun, like party decks up top of these buildings. So that's great for all these businesses to get involved with this.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend for sure, and a fair amount of work being done in the pit lane by these race teams. And I would imagine, Davey, the focus primarily on shocks and springs with how bumpy and rough this place is.
That's one thing. I talked to Santino during the 500. Early in the week, he didn't have much speed. He did not like the setup on that car, but they got it in a window, obviously, that he liked, and I think the same thing here. I think they came with some kind of basic stuff, more than likely. It seems to be whatever they have on Malukas' car seems to be working, whatever on Santino's car. You could just see a lot of wheel spin his car needs to be more rear grip to where he can be hammered down and get down these straightaways.
You exit the pit lane, you exit right into the setup of the entrance to turn one, don't you?
That's right. So right now, I think they have spotters on top of this parking garage right behind us, because it is very key, especially when it comes race time, Mark, to get out of pit lane. You have to stay wide sometimes, because if they're on track, you get Clyde pretty easy.
So interesting thing about this track, and this is It's not similar to Long Beach in any way, shape, or form, but I do point out that the interesting thing about this, I mean, you talk about a street course like a St. Petersburg, there's not much in the way of elevation changes, but there are some downhill portions.
There's some
course.
small ones here, that's right. It's somewhat like Long Beach a little bit if you come off of Ocean Drive down the hill there a little bit, but there are a few, there's minor ones as far as elevation changes, but I think the biggest challenge here is, you know, just the tightness that we talked about, the blind corners, but then there's asphalt and concrete here, and the traction difference between those two is pretty substantial.
Turn 2, very important turn because of the benefits of that long speed back straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get through turn 2 good because that leads you on that really long back straightaway, and the faster you get that throttle done and more momentum you can get off of that corner, the better off you're going to be, because it's just going to carry all the way down that straightaway, and that's how you're not going to get passed down in turn 3. So that's important.
I will say that during the course of a race, especially on restarts and the start, of course, one passing zone that has developed over the past couple of years is from 3 all the way around to 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they can go side by side through there. We've seen them do it.
Yeah, that's right. That is really wide coming off 3 and into 4. I mean, it's 4 or 5 car lengths wide. It's really wide, but it does funnel down into one car basically. Kind of like turn 1 right here, once you go into 4. That's a tight area right there, and so you have to have it all figured out by the time you get to that space. But yeah, you're right. Turn 3, you could do that over/under. You could go in low, slide up high. You could go high and do a crossover. It's a pretty cool corner.
Is that short little straightaway along the river walk between 7 and 8? Is that a deceptively fast part of the race course?
You know, you get through there really fast, and it's so hard to pass. As you can see, that's where a little bit of the elevation change is. Super bumpy as well. Very hard to pass because under braking going down in turn 8 is really rough.
You know, one of the things about this course too that Bud Dinker talked to us about last week at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is that a fair amount of people get to see the NTT IndyCar Series that don't have to pay a dime to do it.
Yeah, today, right? They just walk in and they're seeing all this action. And matter of fact, I just kind of milled around the city. You know, there's so much construction going on in Detroit right now, downtown. They're remodeling, they're fixing up buildings. I mean, it's really amazing to see. And by the way, just the other side of the racetrack, all the new buildings, marinas. I mean, they've really fixed this part of the racetrack up. I mean, the city up. It's really incredible.
7.5-minute mark of this initial 45-minute session, and David Malukas continues to find the fast way at a 62.812. Marcus Ericsson has gone to P2. Joseph Newgarden third, and Alex Palou is fourth. Felix Rosenquist, a late comer to the proceedings, but he is fifth fastest. Then Colton Herta, Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, Renus VK, and Christian Lundgaard. Christian Rasmussen, 11th fastest. Scott Dixon, 12th quick. Then Armstrong, Rossi, and Kirkwood through 15th. Ray Hall is 16th. Eilert 17th. O'Ward is 18th. Simpson is 19th. Louis Foster is 20th. Nolan Siegel, 21st. Robert Schwartzman, 22nd. Jacob Abel, 23rd. Stingray Robb, 24th. Then Santino Ferrucci. Again, it's been a struggle for him. Larry Foyt says a lot of changes. And Devlin DeFrancesco, 26th fastest. Connor Daly, 27th quick. Back to Joel.
Scott Dixon back out on track after spending a few minutes working on the dampers, and that's going to be a common sight here on pit lane. I look to my right, and the 21 team at Carpenter Racing going to work with a damper adjustment. As a matter of fact, although it's not uncommon in practice, you really see it here in Detroit. The first thing they do when they pull the car into pit lane is usually going to work on these dampers. It's been said IndyCar is really a damper series. You do your winning in the margins, and I'm sure Davey can attest to this. On a track that is as bumpy as this, more than 215 manhole covers, you really feel the difference, and you really need to get it right here in this session.
You're absolutely right. These dampers have between 9 and 11 adjustments. Can you believe that per shock, Mark? It's just amazing, and so everyone does something a little bit different, so that is key for sure.
Did not get his fifth win, but I'm sure all in all he enjoyed the experience of the 109th Indianapolis 500. Nick Yeoman, and you're with Elio Castroneves.
Yeah, he came away with the 10th place finish, and let's talk about Indy real quick. I want to know, when you pulled onto pit lane and you took that helmet off after the race, how disappointing was it to know I don't get to do this for another 12 months?
Yeah, definitely. First, I got to thank, obviously, the entire MSR group, especially the number 06 guys. They did a phenomenal job, you know, to not only give me a great car, good equipment. Man, we were having a blast there. Unfortunately, with a little miscalculation that we had there in the end, we had to do an extra pit stop and end up finishing the back. But, man, our cars are fast, definitely fast, which I love it. But in the end, you know, it was that feeling that, man, I can't believe it. We got to do that tomorrow again, because I knew a lot of stuff that we can fix it and make it better. So, in the end of the day, great result from MSR. Obviously, finished in the top 4. Myself in the 10th, and great recover from the 66 group with Mark Armstrong. So everybody did a phenomenal job.
All right, let's turn the corner to this weekend. I know you didn't get a chance to race in an IndyCar here on the streets of Detroit, but what do you think about this place, and what have you heard from your drivers about how difficult this place is?
Yeah, obviously I ran here before as well, so this place is very tough, very brutal, not only on the equipment, on the drivers, tough to get the setup right because of those conditions. But it is the same for everyone, of course. You just got to make sure that because it's a concrete patch, a lot of concrete patch, it takes the time to get the tires in. Right now, Felix is right on the top 5, and we keep just improving and make some changes.
Hey, you want to say hi to all the people listening on SiriusXM?
Absolutely, yes, our biggest partner. So we can't thank you guys enough. It was a huge success having the Creed on the side of the 60 car. So yeah, let's keep doing. Let's motivate and do more things like that, because it was a lot of fun over the Indianapolis 500 for sure.
Appreciate your time. Get back to work. You're a team owner now.
Yeah, man. You're disrupting me right now. So
all right, we'll let Elio get back to work, and of course, Mark, hello to all of our listeners on SiriusXM 218. Appreciate their partnership as well. 10th place runner for Elio. He goes from driver back to minority car owner, and so keep an eye on both Felix Rosenqvist and Marcus Armstrong this weekend and the rest of the weekend, rest of the season, I should say, in the NTT IndyCar Series.
You got to trust me, folks. I've done a few events with him over the years, and what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Everything about Elio Castroneves is just that. Elio Castroneves, a proud 4-time champion, and happy to see that he's already made plans for what he's going to do once he climbs out of the cockpit for the last time in terms of the ownership. Davey, we just got a look at the in-car camera from Scott Dixon's car, and it's not typical that you're turning the wheel to the right as you're going down a straightaway.
Yeah, no, I'd say we talked about that earlier. I mean, sometimes you need experience on dirt tracks, but you're exactly right. And you know, he obviously he recovered from it. He hasn't found he's in that P15 spot right now. Obviously, he wants to find more. You know, his teammate Pelot is in that 4th position, and he knows he can get more. He's just looking for it right now.
Boy,
he did get the wall just a little bit, actually.
This place is just so challenging. I mean, the drivers bemoaned the fact that Belle Isle and just how bumpy it was. Well, after being on a silky smooth 2.5-mile oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, this is kind of a wake-up call.
Yeah, you can't find a bump there if you try, right? And so, absolutely. And I want to say one thing, too. Jacob Abel, he's in that 24th spot right now, but you know, when you miss the Indy 500, it's not easy. And he was the driver that did not make it out of the 34s that attempted. And he was the one that wasn't able to drive. But I think that he came out of that. His interviews, he did it with grace. He did it with, you know, he tried as hard as he could, put it all down on the line. I just give him a little bit of credit for the way he responded.
That engineering addition to that race team is not only going to help Regis VK, it's going to help Jacob Abel,
That's right. And Mike Oliver, he's on Abel's car. I feel that they'll learn a lot together, and you know, hopefully he has some success.
1 minute remaining of this 45-minute session, and boy, when's the last time we saw a point car at the top of the time?
For a long time right now. Yeah, we still got a little ways to go here, but yeah, I mean, how impressive is that? At Malukas, obviously, there's other team owners that have had an eye on him for a while, and you know, he was signed with McLaren, just those of you don't know.
Right.
Guy had a wrist injury bicycling out in Colorado that was pretty major. I mean, really major. They said, hey, we still want to keep you, get healed up, but it was a long time before that wrist could get strong enough to race. They actually let him out of his contract, and man, what a feeling, right? You sign with a great team like that, then all of a sudden, as we see one spin around, they're going off it down into turn 1. They got spun back around. I think that is, yeah, one of my. I think that is.
That was Felix.
Yeah, it was Felix. Yeah, and then he had the opportunity to come back and run a few races. Had a huge brace on his wrist. Didn't know if it was ever really going to get better, but boy, has it, and finds himself P1 right now.
Just watching that car break loose, Davey.
Wow.
I mean, he moved to the pit exit to set up to cut that corner off, and the rear end of that car just stepped out on it.
Well, if we were looking out our window, we would have seen the back of his wing. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And we're on a straightaway. So, yeah, he went right by us sideways. And we see another one going into that turn 1 runoff as well right now. And as we see the checkers come out.
That is the aforementioned David Malukas.
Yeah, that
as
sure
the
is.
checkers comes
Yeah.
out, and it looks like that he is going to grab top spot in this session. And from a confidence standpoint, that's huge for a race team when you unload fast.
Huge confidence, no question about it. Glad to see that. Obviously, Ferrucci, they're going to go back into this truck when it's all said and done. Look at the data, see what he was doing, how he was going about it, and see if they can get him back up to speed as well.
That's a nice wide runoff area down there, Davey, and it needs to be because, I mean, let's face it, there was basically one entry point into that corner, and if you don't hit it just right, you might as well just cut your losses and go into the runoff area because that wall's not very forgiving.
Yeah, that's right. We seen right off the bat Stingray Robb unfortunately hit that tire barrier, but it didn't do much damage. They did change the nose piece. Didn't look like a lot of damage to it, but he was able to motor on.
The INDYCAR app powered by NTT Data is available to fans for free. Climb on board with in-car cameras, catch up with live timing and scoring, and find car telemetry info for your favorite driver. Plus, listen to our coverage of every lap of every on-track session. You can download the app today and stay on track with the NTT INDYCAR Series. So, fastest in the session, David Malukas at a 62.8129. Marcus Ericsson at a 62.8288. Scott McLaughlin at a 62.9482. Then Joseph Newgarden at a 63.0371. Alex Palou, fifth fastest, 63.0381. Christian Lundgaard, Felix Rosenqvist, Colton Herta, Kyle Kirkwood, and Will Power inside the top 10. Rinus VK, 11th fastest at a 63.4935. Christian Rasmussen, 12th quick. 13th, Alexander Rossi. 14th, Callum Ilott. 15th, Pato Award. Scott Dixon, 16th fastest. Marcus Armstrong, 17th. 18th, Graham Rahal. Kiffin Simpson, 19th. Louis Foster, 20th. Nolan Siegel, 21st. Robert Schwartzman, 22nd. Devlin DeFrancesco, 23rd. Stingray Robb, 24th. 25th. Jacob Abel, 26th. Santino Ferrucci at 27th. Connor Daly. Davey, reality of it is the issues involving Team Penske and qualifying and the suspensions and terminations. I think there were a lot of things that were unfortunate about that. Perhaps the most so was overshadowing the incredible accomplishment by Prema Racing and Robert Schwartzman, who set on pole for the 109th Indy 500.
Yeah, that's right. What an outstanding run for that team, for that driver. You know, all the rumors flying around that program as well, and have him being able to start on the first time on an oval. First time since 1983, a rookie set on the pole. That's their number 83, by the way. That all fit in pretty nicely.
Yep.
And, you know, that's a big thing. I mean, it's not easy to drive those cars that free on an oval that you haven't been to before, but outstanding job.
They've made adjustments to their staff throughout the course of the season, from what I understand, the technical staff. But I think perhaps the biggest benefit, Robert Schwartzman will tell you, is having a guy to coach him through the process like Ryan Briscoe.
Yeah, Ryan. Matter of fact, I talked to Ryan after his first qualifying run, and he was right hand down through a few of those corners, meaning that he was turning right on the left-hand corner.
Right.
And the throttle chase was perfectly wide open. He never even thought about lifting. And I told Ryan, I go, man, he might be careful. He goes, oh, I got to talk to him about race pace. He got away with it. But that kid, he knows it. He has fast hands. He felt good. He went out there. But that was his first. That was getting in the top 12. He came to the next day and lays it on the pole. So he knows what he's doing.
Well, I mean, other drivers, they set up and took notice of what he was doing. And did you hear about our guest in turn 3 who visited Jake Query during qualifying?
No.
Well, Joseph Newgarden is out jogging and ends up in the stand with Jake Query.
Yeah.
And so we put him on the headset, and I said, well, let's do a simulated qualifying call. And he goes, okay, but it's got to be Robert Schwartzman because he's going to sit on pole later.
Oh, wow.
And I think Scott Dixon predicted that as well.
Yeah, well, he had it, right? I mean, they seen those speeds that he was running and looked like he was doing it with ease, and not easy to do. And then what a huge storyline. And they say, hey, first time a rookie has been on the front row since 1983. But one stat I haven't heard, when was the last time a rookie team has been on the pole? I mean, it was Tom Sneva drove for them, and I don't have the year right in front of us, like 77, 78, somewhere around in there. Gotcha.
But it was a team that Tom Sneva drove for.
Okay, gotcha. So it has happened, but it's
not very often.
Not very often.
Yeah. So okay, here's the group that will run in this first 10-minute session, which begins in 2 minutes. Colton Herta, Will Power, Scott Dixon, Joseph Dugard, Christian Lundgaard, Santino Ferrucci, Felix Rosenquist, Kiffin Simpson, Graham Rahal, Connor Daly, Alexander Rossi, Devin DiFrancesco, Robert Schwartzman, and Louis Foster. Speaking of Scott Dixon, literally, Davey, every time he takes a green flag or turns a lap, it's a record. Getting ready to make his 346th consecutive start, extending his record streak, but he passed Mario Andretti for the all-time IndyCar Series starts record. His 408th start at the Indianapolis 500, and now that record just keeps getting extended.
It just keeps getting extended. I don't see him going away anytime soon. Obviously, he hasn't won a race this year, but that doesn't mean he can't, because I think they definitely can, and I think that he definitely will. I think that, he usually comes hot later in the season, it seems like, and so, Scott, I mean, the record, just look at the record book. It tells you how good he is.
Well, it's just the incredible consistency over his career and his ability to finish races. I mean, in 408 starts, Davey, 301 top 10 finishes in 400 starts, basically. And over 50% of his finishes have been in the top 5 in his career. I mean, he's probably going to break 7,000 laps led. You'd like to think he's going to get to 60 wins because he's at 58 now. He's at 28 poles, and, he's a 500 win and 6 championships, and one of the greatest of all time.
One of the greatest of all time. And by the way, those of you who don't know him, such a great guy. Yeah. He's such a good guy. I mean, he's very appreciative of what he has. He talks to anybody, everybody. He good family. I mean, just a good guy.
Like a little bit of the wrap or the paint or whatever it is on the nose of Will Power's car was, we know when that happened. We have a pretty good idea. Kyle Kirkwood knows when that happened
He knows exactly when that happens, early in the session. And, he's in this first group going out. And I as you know, I don't need to say it anymore, but I'm not a fan of slowing down when the track's green, coming to a stop so you get a good timeline, because it's messing up guys behind you that already got runs going. Exactly what happened here. So the guys with the runs get frustrated.
Misspoke on the length of these sessions. They're actually 12 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
So that gives him plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time. And I like this, especially on these short courses. Let these guys go out, spread out. Much easier to get it spread out with half the cars out there than this entire field, and they should be able to do it no problem.
Yes, but they all leave the pit lane together.
Yeah, well, I'll explain that one, right?
Yeah, we see them making their way down that long back straightaway and setting up for that. I'll tell you what, that turn number 3, that is quite a daunting turn, isn't it? Essentially, it's a paper clip. It's like a hairpin.
Yeah, it's like, the other hairpin we know is Long Beach, but we don't go off a really long straightaway going into that Long Beach hairpin. We have one coming off of it, but it's definitely more open. You can do the crossovers. You can get some momentum through there. I mean, it's really a neat corner, actually.
Crossovers happen frequently down there during the course of the race,
really
especially on starts and restarts.
Yeah. It's really good fun corner.
So the clock has started, and so these are, we can only assume that the majority of these will be qualifying sims for these drivers.
Yeah, I think what they can do now is obviously this gives them the opportunity to be more by themselves. I mean, even though they fall filed out, they have enough gap in between them right now just to see what they got. Try to get their car balanced well. I think qualifying is so important here. Track, it's all about track position, trying to make sure that you're towards the front of it because it's difficult to pass. So you're right. I think they just work on their qualifying sim more than anything.
What's really interesting, though, is we do have a practice session tomorrow, but it starts at 9:05 Eastern, and according to the local weather prognosticators, tomorrow is supposed to be a relatively cool start. I mean, chilly night tonight and a relatively cool day tomorrow. We might not get above 70 degrees, and then a bit of a rebound on Sunday, and Sunday may be a bit closer to the conditions today. So you got to wonder how much that they'll put into that practice session tomorrow.
Well, one thing for sure, these cars are really weather sensitive. We see that all the time. And you just said 75 degrees right now out there, and tomorrow the high is supposed to be 62. So we're talking 13 degrees in difference in temperature. So that's going to be a lot for these cars. And then it all depends too if the sun's out, because it shows partly cloudy. But then Sunday it comes back up, kind of halfway in between, at the high of 69. I think it's good once the rubber gets laid down. It's good for these drivers having a little bit cool, and I think it's good for our fans, really, to be honest with you, too.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect weather for the fans to come out, see a great race. It's going to be a nice afternoon.
I know as we see Will Power go into the runoff area, he's backing that thing up again. That's right outside our window. We just look to the right.
He's backing at us right now.
He's found reverse, and there's a local caution flag flying, and a couple of cars going by him to his inside. He's going to wait till that traffic clears, and it has indeed cleared, and he's back underway again.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how difficult with the bumps and how tight the entry are on these corners, that it's so easy to overshoot them. So they're just, they're getting the most out of their car. They're finding the limits of what they can do, and you have to find the limits so you can get the most out of your car, and that's what they're doing.
Just saw Kiffin Simpson go into a runoff area and get back underway.
Like turn 8, same thing, no real issues. Going again. Will Power, they're both up to speed going again.
Early on, Alexander Rossi is P1. Santino Ferrucci is second fastest, and Dixon, Schwartzman, Rosenquist, Hurtis, Simpson, Lundgaard, Connor Daly, Ray Hall, and Will Power. And pretty good Indy 500 all in all for Connor Daly. Walked away from it a little disappointed, but boy, he looked awful racy at times.
He sure did. I mean, it's back to a situation where he was up there. He was able to be at the front of that field, lead some laps, and be powerful. But the last stint of the race just seemed like it wasn't there. And he said the car wasn't handling like it was earlier. Something happened. Just he couldn't fight it in. But another good 500 for Connor.
9 minutes to go in this session. There'll be another group for a 12-minute session after this one. We talked about the success that A.J. Foyt Racing, Larry Foyt and Company had at the Indianapolis 500 over the weekend earlier today. Joel Sebastianelli caught up with Santino Ferrucci.
Santino Ferrucci returns to Detroit with a little bit of momentum. 7 Indy 500s, 7 top 10s. What do you attribute that consistency to?
Just being able to fix that race, obviously big shout out to the crew. We've had good luck with cars. We had a bit of a issue in race day, but they were able to fix it in one of the pit stops, which is cool. And yeah, we've been consistent. I think I've got 3 top 5s now too there, so getting closer and closer to winning this thing every year.
Consistency is something you've achieved here in Detroit too, in the top 10 downtown a year ago, but you managed the same thing on the streets of Belial as well. How similar or how different would you say these two circuits are?
Yeah, obviously, Belial was my favorite street circuit by far. Just the flow of it, the uniqueness to where we raced, everything about it. So it's sad to see it not be there anymore, but honestly, racing around Detroit and in the city down Jefferson is pretty sweet. So no complaints. Obviously representing Chevrolet, running around the Ren Center is also pretty damn cool. So super excited about that.
So from last year to this, how much different do you think the track will drive with the hybrid?
I'm not sure. I think we'll be a little bit slower, if anything, but, they're making some track changes to make it more enjoyable for us. But I think it'll be great.
This is a race that you always look forward to. For one, because you like the tracks, but you turn 27 on Saturday. What do you do to make this weekend a little extra special?
Man, I've been going to the same restaurant, Prime and Proper, on my birthday since I've been I've always had my birthday in Detroit, with the probably exception of the COVID year. But, I love coming here. I love the food scene. I love the car scene. The city itself is beautiful. I get to hang out in a couple of the suburbs, play some golf. But all around, big M&M fan too, Lions fan. So it's just cool to be here.
Wishing you a happy birthday and a good finish. Santino Ferrucci, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. Santino Ferrucci with our Joel Sebastianelli. 6.5-minute mark of this session. Christian Lundgaard just leapfrogged over Colton Herta for P1 of the session. It's 62.6047. Herta second faster than rookie Louis Foster, then Kiffin Simpson and Alexander Rossi in the top 5. Rosenquist, Schwartzman, Ferrucci, Daly, Power through 10th, and Newgarden, Abel, Dixon, and Devlin DiFrancesco. Really a long and storied history here, Davey. This is the 35th IndyCar Series race held in Detroit.
Wow.
There was a 2.5-mile street circuit here in downtown Detroit. that hosted kart events for a couple of years before the event moved to Belle Isle in 1992. So a 35-year history here in the Motor City, and I'll tell you, their fans are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that shows the fans want us here, and the fans show up and support this race. So that's what's key. And looking at the timing scoring right now, we see a lot of the red alternate tires on, Mark. That's the qualifying sim tire. They're trying to see what they can do qualifying, seeing if the balance change is different. One surprise I see up there, last time we were on a road course, there's a guy pretty darn fast. Matter of fact, set on the pole and really late, I think he was maybe second quick, but Graham Rahal. I mean, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, what a great job he did on that. Had an opportunity to win that race, really, but Plo showed him different, but still a good finish for him. But dead last right now, so definitely running into some issues on that Rahal, Letterman, Lannica car, and he does just move up in the 10th right now, put Dixon in that 15th spot, or 15th spot.
And again, he's got his work cut out for him in qualifying because he is dealing with a grid penalty come Sunday.
Oh, yeah, with that grid penalty, as you just said, that's right. I mean, you got to try to overcome that the best you can. So we Schwartzman out there right now in that P9 spot, our pole sitter for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indy 500, which is like we continue to say how impressive that was, you know, trying to learn his way around this bumpy street circuit here at Detroit.
49 laps led, 5 top 10s and 3 top 5s the season so far for Christian Lundgaard. If it wasn't for the unbelievable season that Alex Palou was having, we'd be talking about him a lot more, Nate.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, what a great start for him. Matter of fact, I kind of had him as a long shot at Indy because he's been running so good all year, and he's with that McLaren team. Feels like he's found a really good home. He's comfortable there, and I think he's third in the championship right now, and yeah, he's getting the job done. If he finds himself in victory lane many times, that will be no surprise whatsoever.
Pato's second in points now. He leapfrogged over Christian Lundgaard after his finish at the 500. His season no slouch, Davey. He 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s and 53 laps led for award.
Yeah, absolutely. He's up there. One driver wasn't too impressed with the 500, the restarts and the way it all laid out and stuff, but you know, in the day, he still had a good run there, still gave it all he had. He's still second in the championship. You got to look at the big picture right now as well. Yeah, we have the hybrid. We have some things that are different for these drivers. Some like, some don't like. There's you know, people way out on both sides of it right now, but he's definitely one not a fan of it.
Well, we've learned that he's not shy about sharing his opinion, and if you ask a question, he's going to give you a straight up answer. And as you know, somebody who's a part of the media, that's you can appreciate that. I mean, he doesn't mince words. He has some very strong opinions about things, but most of the time his responses are overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, right. You know, when you feel that you bring something up for the series, whether it's for the competition, the safety especially, you need to listen to people, and the drivers know more than most because they're the ones out there in these cars. They see the situations. They know their performance level, what they can and can't do to make the race at the very best. So the series, and I know the series does listen to them. Everybody, you know, has their own opinion. You can't change them all the time, but he brings up you know, good suggestions, and Power just went to P1.
Well, he had 3 wins, a pole, and 13 top 10s and 9 top 5s at Belle Isle. But the last 2 years here, he's finished 24th and 23rd. But right now, he's got the weekend off to a good start because, as you mentioned, Will Power's gone to P1.
P1 right there, and his teammate, how about Joseph Newgard? Haven't heard much of him lately. We think that when the ovals come, we may hear about him, but that 2 Penske cars on top, and then Lundgaard third, so 3 Chevrolets here at this Chevrolet race, round out the top 3.
Not necessarily been a good track for Team Penske over the last couple of years. Their best finish as a team is Scott McLaughlin, who started second and finished 7th a couple of years ago, and Joseph Newgarden has a 10th place finish here.
Yeah, that's right. Not what they want, not what they, especially in the backyard of Chevrolet, such good partners of theirs, and hopefully they make that better. They have the speed right now, really good lap times by both Power and Newgarden, and you know, Daly seems to be struggling. Ferrucci, Schwartzman. I watched that car just now, Mark, but you know, there's back to rear grip. Just doesn't look like he has the rear grip he needs.
How do you fix that?
Well, you know, there's a lot of ways, but most of the time it's going to be dampers, shocks, and the spring change, just to make the car potentially a little softer in the back, just to where it gets more grip. You can change center for pressure to go to the back of the car a little bit, just to get a little more grip. But sometimes that generates front understeer as well. So these engineers are smart. They get paid a lot of money, but I think it's a damper issue.
And now that we've reached this point of the season and we're into June, Davey, I know they still feel like like that they have a lot to learn, and they're learning a lot each and every week. But I would think at this point that in terms of addressing those issues, they should start to kind of get a handle on how to fix that problem.
Yeah, that's right. And I know there's been, that team has been through their good days and their bad days, but absolutely I think that, the engineers they have, the drivers they have, they're all learning. They're all learning what to do, how to make it better. It's a team, if you go look at the transporters and their equipment they have, they've really stepped up. They spent a lot of money to do it.
Their
right.
hospitality area is not too shabby.
Their
either.
hospitality is like, oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they have those roller dogs in there.
No. They make them fresh for you there. Yeah.
So we've got about 18 seconds or so left in this session, and Team Penske is carrying the banner right now, and doing so with a lot of success in this session, and a 62.3862. Joseph Newgarden a 62.4819. Christian Lundgaard is third fastest. As the checkered flag comes out, then Colton Herta. Louis Foster with the good run. He and his Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan teammate, Davey, both inside the top 10.
Yeah,
back-to-back in 5th and 6th. And
we just talked about that.
Rosenquist, Dixon, Simpson with the good run in this session, and Rossi. And then DeFrancesco, Schwartzman, Ferrucci, and Connor Daly maybe doing a bit of head scratch. It looks like Schwartzman ended on the primaries. Got to add Jacob Abel in this session, too. He was 15th fastest, and Abel at a time of 65.300.
Yep, that's right. So first group's over. Now what they'll do, they'll get them in, and I think it's going to be pretty immediate for the second group to go out and get their 12 minutes as well.
So I continue. I don't want to belabor a point, but I'm telling you, this place offers a lot of challenges in terms of the bumps, and some of them are in the most inopportune areas.
Yeah, that's right. And that is the problem. The areas are in, as you just seen, a car come through turn 6 and 7. Man, it's bumpy through there. Tires almost coming off the ground and turning areas and in braking points, and that's the worst place to have. Matter of fact, we're going to see a slow-mo right now. I'm sure it's going to be because of the bumps right now and some of these cars coming through, and it's a challenge.
Connor Daly was the last driver to return to the pit lane. All cars have come back now. I want to thank you for listening to the IndyCar Series today, either at the track or SiriusXM IndyCar Nation Channel 218. Elio said hello to all of you listening earlier. If you want more IndyCar radio, you can check out our website for links to our podcast, talent bios, and broadcast schedules. Plus, you can listen to our classic race broadcast. Go to IndyCarRadio.com. So Mark James and Davey Hamilton set to take you through this final session that begins in about a minute and a half. Joel Sebastianelli, Nick Yeoman handling things down on pit lane for us. And Will Power fastest after that session. Then Newgarden, Lundgaard, Herta, and Foster. Scheduled for the rest of the weekend. Bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll be here at 8 a.m. Indy Next practice session number 1. And then the IndyCar practice session is scheduled for 9:05 Eastern Time. That'll run until 10:10. And then Indy Next qualifying at 11:30. And because of IMSA being here and competing this weekend, we'll be done fairly early tomorrow. IndyCar qualifying at 12:20, wraps up around 1:55. And then Sunday, another early start to the day. The final warm-up session, 9:30 in the morning. And then at 10:25, flag-to-flag coverage of the Indy Next race. And then the IndyCar race, flag-to-flag coverage of the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear. Join us at 12 noon. And we will have for you as part of our broadcast on Sunday, Davey, we will pay tribute to a longtime member of this radio network who was high atop Turn 3 for years and was an absolute legend in these parts. Our dear friend Larry Henry, who we lost during the offseason. And Paul Page, longtime voice of the 500, did that on 2 occasions, and of course anchored television for years. He and Larry, very good friends, and he will pay tribute to Larry Henry during our pre-race show on Sunday.
That'd be perfect for sure.
So session 2 is underway. Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin, Pato Ward, Kyle Kirkwood, Christian Rasmussen, Marcus Ericsson in this session, Stingray Robb, Nolan Siegel, Marcus Armstrong, David Malukas, Ritas VK, Calvin Milot, Robert Schwartzman, Louis Foster. They are all in this session. That let's see that some of those guys were in that last session. So we'll wait till they clear the timing scoring loop, and they'll be able to clear that picture up for you a little bit. So now that you've it's been a while since you've been through the process, either as a race strategist or a driver. So give people a little insight, if you will, as to just how many hours and man hours and how daunting of a task it is to try to prepare a car and then race in the Indianapolis 500.
And those guys, especially for the month of May and the Indy 500, the hours that these teams, thank goodness that the IndyCar series puts hours on the crotch sometimes, because they could say they're around the clock sometimes, but they really do such a fabulous job in these cars. If you ever are fortunate enough to come and look at them in person, you could just look at them with the cowlings off just to see how much work and how much wiring and everything that goes into them. And now with the hybrid system engaged, the steering wheel just in itself with all the buttons and knobs on those things is very intricate and all very important too, by the way, Mark. If they're not working, you got problems. So, and as on the strategy side, it's kind of the same. When the race comes, just like what we do in the radio in practice, we're watching them go around, we got time to talk. But when the race comes, it seems like time goes in warp speed because they come by very quick, and you got to be on top of it, just like we do. We'll call the race here in the booth.
When do you start building that race day strategy?
Yeah, so I started building it actually after Monday, that final warm-up on Monday, kind of seeing what speed we had and figured out where we could be in that race. And Rick Gallis taught me a lot back in the day when I was driving for him on how he did strategy, and I just kind of picked that up and used it. So I had several different sheets, count forward and backwards, and it seemed to work.
I should mention, Joel, that I can't read my own handwriting. Will Power actually likes the streets of Detroit. He finished 6th after starting 8th a year ago and had a runner-up finish back in 2023. So he's probably happy to be back here on the streets of Detroit.
And I would suspect that Will Power's pretty happy with the way things have gone so far today. P1 at this point in the session. Where is your race car at right now?
It was very good on reds. Struggled a bit on blacks to get it exactly right. Yeah, big difference. The reds are not bad. Like, they lasted 3-4 laps, like pushing really hard. So maybe that bodes well for the race. You can actually use them. The first 2 street courses we've done, they've degraded a lot, but that didn't feel terrible. They may be okay, but my car is certainly better on reds. We've just got to work out what to do for blacks.
There's always a lot of traffic here, a lot of chaos. Seemed like you had a little bit of practice with that earlier, getting up into the back of somebody. Can you walk us through what happened there?
I didn't realize you could actually move someone out of the way in an IndyCar without damage, so I kind of didn't, like, if I hadn't touched him, I wouldn't have done that, but I was like, oh, well, I'm already into him, and I thought he was going to go, so I went a bit of throttle, and he didn't, so I just kept going. I thought, well, I'll move him out of the way and then, get a clear gap to finish my run, so it wasn't a problem.
A fast race car with a chrome horn. The Verizon Team Penske Chevy Will Powers P1. Thank you, Will.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, you can't wrap that up any more beautifully than that. A fast race car with a chrome horn. Well done, Joel.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that just, he went through it. He said, I didn't think you could make contact and not damage the car, but so I just kept going.
And he kept going, right? And he already, as he said, he already got into him. He comes around that corner, and there they are almost stopped, and he was up to speed trying to get his fast lap in. And there he is behind him. With that, well, I guess I might as well just push him out of the way, and it worked pretty good.
Kyle Kirkwood has gone to P1 early in this session, and that's the guy he was trying to shove out of the way.
Fastest lap of the weekend, I think, as well.
Yeah, for sure. And he had a 61.7509, and then Rasmussen, Award, Foster, McLaughlin, the top 5, then VK, then Siegel, then Malukas, Armstrong, Robb, and let's see.
It's weird here because they still have Abel and Schwartzman on the list, and they shouldn't be out there, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on.
And both of the timing and scoring are showing the same things right now, so we've got a couple of drivers, and yeah, I mean,
that could be. Maybe rookies do both. I'm not 100% sure what's going on.
Yeah, I've not seen that, but yeah, perhaps they get an opportunity to do that. But anyway, most importantly, it's Kirkwood, Rasmussen, Award. VK now has gone 4th fastest, so it looks like Renus VK's off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, off to a pretty good start. They're not up to speed yet. He's at a minute 4:111. They need to be in that 102, low 102s to make something happen, and he's not quite there. Malukas in that 9th spot, just getting himself up to speed as well. Only a 2nd lap, so they'll get some heat in these tires. I'm glad that Will Power brought up what the alternate tire is, and he said definitely my car's really good on the alternate tire. It seemed that the degradation was not too bad with them. So now the key is, let's find out, will they make it a whole stint without slowing you down too much? And sounds like there's a chance coming from Will Power that they will do that.
Yeah, that's it's always interesting to watch how they start to unfold that strategy throughout the course of the weekend. And so it sounds to me like with Will's crew, the biggest question right now is, okay, so when are we going to run those primaries as well as the alternates are running?
Yeah, so right now, obviously, in his book, he said he had a hard time getting going on that primary tire. So he wants alternates for sure. It's just how long does it take for them, or how long do they last once he gets up to speed? And that'll determine which tire he runs in the race.
Because of how relatively short this track is and because of the technical portions of it, is that why it takes a while for those primaries to come in?
Yeah, it is, because you're going through corners, which that's what generates heat in these race cars, is going back and forth through the corners, but they're not high speed like that. The speed and really grinding that, getting that tire in that asphalt or that concrete and just really putting pressure on it, that's what gets the heat up quick. And sometimes what you can do, and I do a lot actually, especially on this long straightaway, is I'd ride the brake a little bit and try to get the wheel hot, which gets the tire hot a little bit quicker. As we see below, he goes off the runoff area down in turn 8 as well. No, he didn't have contact with it.
Kyle Kirkwood was 4th here a year ago, and he was 6th back in 2023. So clearly, much like Long Beach, this is a course that he finds to his liking.
Yeah, that's right. And we see Plo, he made it out going on. Yeah, he just run. Looked like he almost had a flat tire or something, but I guess he did because he continued on it going to the pit lane. But yeah, if you like this course and you have a good setup, man, you are a happy guy, because it's not easy to get your car perfect around this place.
Any form of racing at all, have you ever seen anyone do what Alex Palou has done at the start of this season?
No, I can't think. I think back in anything. I just can't think of any domination like this, no matter what it's been in.
Well, Nick Yeoman, we talked about him in the year that he's had so far. It's kind of been overshadowed by Alex Palou, but still a solid run so far in his first year with Arrow McLaren, Christian Lundgaard.
Yeah, and he came away with the top 10 in the Indianapolis 500. Christian, I know this is a tough track to get a handle on. Where is your car at after the first practice session?
Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. I think the car's fast enough, obviously. I think we're 3rd in the first group session here, and I think we're 7th overall in the first segment of it. So I think there's potential for us. I think the car feels good. At the end of the day, we have the 5 and the 6 out there now, obviously trying to gather some more information with the track evolution and kind of seeing what we can expect for tomorrow. Overall, I'm very happy. We came off a good finish at Indy. But again, there's plenty more races to go, and we need to be competitive at every one of them. And we've had a good start to the season, so it's just carrying the momentum.
Where on this racetrack do you feel the most comfortable, and where, if you had to place, you feel like you could be a little bit better?
I feel like I'm pretty happy everywhere around here. Pretty happy at every track we go to as well. So at the end of the day, it's just the work behind the scenes, getting the car dialed in as soon as possible. So there's pace in it. You know, sometimes a good car can feel fast, but it's slow, and sometimes it feels terrible and it's fast. So it's kind of finding that balance. I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. We have a little bit of work to do, but we've started much better than we have previous.
Appreciate it. That's Christian Lundgaard. And Mark, that is the voice of a driver who is very confident, and for good reason. Arrow McLaren continuing to get Christian Lundgaard Pato Award and Nolan Siegel fast race cars.
Yeah, as we mentioned, 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s. He's led 49 laps on the season, and he has an 11th place finish and a 16th place finish here. And Davy's already led 180 laps in 58 starts in his career, and 26 top 10s in those 58 starts. And well, there's a quiet confidence about Christian Lundgaard.
Yeah, there is. Did he have to shave a mustache? What was his first win? He was going to grow a mustache and not shave it. So he got that out of the way. And now, you're right. His record is getting better and better as far as, consistently finishing up front, getting podiums. I said before, I think he's really found a good home in that McLaren team. And at one point, I think he was actually performing a little bit better in Pato. Got more comfortable quicker than Pato did.
But quite a roller coaster ride for that team last year, but they got their driver lineup settled pretty easily, and added Tony Kanaan to the management side of things on a more permanent basis, and I think it's paid off with a lot of solid runs by Pato, and certainly Christian Lundgaard is running well too. And you talk to everybody within the team, and they're happy with what they're getting from Nolan Siegel and the learning curve that he's been placed under by putting him in that car halfway through last year.
Yeah, such a young kid, and he's had his issues, right? He's been down on speed sometimes, just not really. It doesn't look like very competitive, and then unfortunately he has an accident on the very last lap of the Indy 500. He takes a pretty big shot to the wall, just turned in too early, and So still a lot there. I mean, he's shown that he can have speed. He's shown that he belongs in these Indy cars. It's just, it's a tough, you're racing against the best guys in the world, and when you're a young kid like that and don't have that experience, it's very hard to get there quickly.
So, again, Kyle Kirkwood continues P1 at a 61.7509. Then Award, Rasmussen, Eilert, and Schwartzman. He's moved up to 5th fastest. Then McLaughlin, then Malukas, then VK, then Foster and Siegel through 10th. Stingray Robb is dropped now to 12th as Jacob Abel moves up to 11th fastest. Then Armstrong, Ericsson, and Alec Palou has turned just a handful of laps in this session, and you got to wonder, Davey, I mean, I know this is not a very long session, but some of these teams might be playing the tire management game, getting ready for qualifying.
Yeah, they could be, and I see majority of them are on that alternate tire. And you know, we talked about Schwartzman being a rookie, and I think they let rookies go into both sessions, which makes sense. That first round, he ran a 1:03.65. He is now at a 1:03.20. So he's knocked 4/10 off of his time from the last session to this session. So he's slowly picking away at it. He was in first session, he was 12th quickest, and now he's 7th.
So about a minute remaining in this session, and we'll give you the schedule again for Saturday for what we will be doing. Indy next practice session number 1 at 8 o'clock. That'll run until 8:50, and then at 9:05 we'll have the IndyCar practice session, final one of the day, and final one before they go qualifying at 11:30. Indy next qualifying, then at 12:20 we'll have IndyCar qualifying, the knockout qualifying format, and the Firestone Fast 6. And then on Sunday, 9:30 to 10. It'll be the IndyCar warm-up session. Then at 10:25, we'll have flag-to-flag coverage of the Indy next race, and then complete coverage of the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear comes your way at 12 noon Eastern time on Sunday. And again, thankfully, Davey, it doesn't look as though the weather is going to be an issue at all this weekend.
We're going to have a good weekend. Going to be a little bit cool, but I think really good for everybody, fans, the cars, the drivers. So I think it's going to be perfect weather. And looking at times, it looks like the track is definitely getting faster as the sessions go and more rubber gets down as well.
Just got a couple of teams out running on the primaries now. It looks like Alex Palou, who was 7th fastest running on those primaries, along with Stingray Robb and Jacob Abel. Everyone else running the alternates.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody else on the alternate tires. And Palou may have had some alternates on. He did go off course, may have flat spotted him, come in potentially, put some softer tires on. But no matter what, you know he's in a good position. You know that he's going to be here for a fight. I mean, he wants to continue that win streak for sure.
Kyle Kirkwood, Scott McLaughlin, Pato Award, Reedus VK, Christian Rasmussen the top 5. Armstrong, Palou, Eilert, Schwartzman, and Lucas through 10th. And Stingray Robb, Jacob Abel, Nolan Siegel, Marcus Ericsson, and Louis Foster. Scott McLaughlin, obviously a disastrous start to the Indianapolis 500, and that video will live on for a while of just how hard he was on himself. But I really think that if anybody's got the moxie to bounce back and have a strong weekend after that disappointment, it's Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, he will. I mean, and I seen interviews and talking to him afterwards. He knows that he made a mistake, and he knows that he wants to get that behind him, and no better way than coming out with a win or something to make sure that that things are better. And we just seen actually Pato Award. He went off in turn 5, which slowed Palou's last lap down because as he is backing out, Palou was going by him. So if Palou did have a fast lap going, he wasn't able to lay it down.
I got to say congratulations to Kyle Kirkwood, talking with Jeremy Millis of that race team, and Jeremy's daughter Maeve graduated from Monrovia High School, going off to Butler University to major in sports media.
Great, yeah.
She was a top 10 student at Monrovia High School.
He's been around. Jeremy's been around a long time, and he started as a DAG, now a really good engineer. I mean, talk about hard work that pays off, and it paid off for him.
Well, I mean, Kyle Kirkwood has the benefits. If he had Jeremy Millis in one ear, had Brian Hurt in the other.
Yeah, that's right. He's in pretty good shape. I remember talking with him right now on the issue with Will Power, kind of getting his side of it right now as well on TV. But pretty interesting moments in that first session.
Kyle Kirkwood was fastest in that session again at a 61.7509. Then Scott McLaughlin, Pato Award, Reedus VK, and Christian Rasmussen in the top 5. You know, Nick Yeoman and I were talking yesterday on the way up here about last couple of years of how crazy silly season has been.
Yeah.
No such talk at this point in this season.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something different. I mean, there's been some talk, but it's more the teams and tech, not so much drivers. So, well, it's going to change as we go here. Things are, you know, behind the scenes. There's some things happening, I'm sure. And
really, the only one question mark about right now is Will Power.
Will Power, that's
right. But depending on how that falls, that could lead to some other changes.
Yeah, correct. You know, if that domino falls, you know there's some people would be all over trying to get Will Power.
So when you look at the sessions combined, Kirkwood, McLaughlin, Power, Newgarden, and Lundgaard are the top 5. Then it's Herta, Award, Foster, Ritas VK, and Graham Rahal. So that's kind of the combined of the 2 sessions. Let's find out what the strategy was for that session by our Indy 500 champion, Alex Palou.
I'm going to say it again because he couldn't hear you, and I don't think he'll get tired of it. With Indy 500 winner Alex Palou, they always say you got to be where your feet are. So let's start with Detroit. You've had one session here. How do you feel about where the car is?
It was tough. It was tough. I think it was tough for everybody with the traffic, the bumps, the difference to what we've been doing the last 2 or 3 weeks at the Speedway. But yeah, started off good, and then at the end just couldn't really get a proper clean lap. But, I mean, I guess everybody's on the same issue. So, yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
Not everybody has had the same kind of week that you've had, though. Can you put into perspective Monday through Thursday, what it's been like just to get focused and put yourself where you're at to get into the cockpit here?
It's been tough. It's been tough. It's been a long week so far. Super fun and super, yeah, just blessed to be living this opportunity. But it's been a long week, very tired. But yeah, we're ready for Detroit, man. It's been a great track for us, for everybody at Chip Ganassi Racing, with Scott winning last year and us winning the first edition. So yeah, it's going to be a tough weekend as always here, with the unpredictability on strategies, tires. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I don't think the smile has left Alex Palou's face, Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, let's talk with David Malukas, very much in the ball game. Are you a believer in Indy 500 momentum carrying over throughout the rest of the season?
Oh, very much. I mean, it's just the 500, you're with the same guys, you're with the crew for a whole month, and, you know, being with the new team here at AJ Foyt, having that whole month, we're able to build on our chemistry and kind of learn the ins and outs of the car, and I think that success is obviously showing and carrying it to Detroit. So we had a good run there. Obviously, lap traffic's been a big issue, I think, for everybody, so we got a lap in on the first run, didn't get one on the second run, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to say where everybody's at, but at least from our side, I'm very happy with the car, and I think we're going to be good going into tomorrow.
Appreciate it. That's Chicago, Illinois' David Malukas. Mark, he was fastest after the first session, then looks pretty stout this weekend for AJ Foyt Enterprises.
Indy next practice session gets underway at 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow on the usual outlets. Then at 9:05, IndyCar practice session number 2. Then we'll go qualifying for Indy next at 11:30 Eastern and then 12:20 Eastern. Complete coverage of the knockout qualifying format and the Firestone Fast 6. For Nick Yeoman, Joel Sebastianelli, our on-site engineer and producer Rick Evans, and our network director Chris Pollock, and for Davey Hamilton, this is Mark Jane. So long for now from the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear.
And then to the practice session here from Detroit for IndyCar. We're back tomorrow with all action from free practice 2 and qualifying, as well as the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship getting underway with their race here for the Grand Prix of Detroit. Don't forget, on Sunday we're live for warm-up and the Grand Prix from the final race in the month of May after Alex Palou's victory last Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow for all the action. Take care. Bye-bye.